The Spacesuit: How a Seamstress Helped Put Man on the Moon by Alison Donald, illustrated by Ariel, Landy. The inspiration behind this book. This story was inspired by Eleanor Ellie Foraker. Eleanor was born in Kenton, Delaware, and worked at ILC Dover for 43 years. A talented seamstress and manager, Ellie was truly dedicated to the making of spacesuits. She also helped make gas masks, underground inflatable oil tanks, and landing bags for Mars missions. Dedication. In memory of Eleanor Foraker, September 2nd, 1930, December 3rd, 2011, and dedicated to the women and men who worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make the moon landings possible. Thank you. The Spacesuit: How a Seamstress Helped Put Man on the Moon, written by Alison Donald, illustrated by Ariel, Landy. October 1957. The first satellite is launched into space by Russia. April 1961. Cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin becomes the first man in space. May 1961. John F. Kennedy challenges America to put a man on the moon. February 1962. Astronaut John Glenn goes around the Earth in a spacecraft. October 1963. Cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova becomes the first woman in space. December 1968. Apollo 8, first to go around the moon with people inside. July 16, 1969. Apollo 11 blasts off. July 20, 1969. Man walks on the moon. This is Ellie. Ellie helped change the world with a needle and thread many years ago. Ellie loved to design and sew from a young age. As a child, she felt her fingers come alive the first time she used a sewing machine. She threaded the needle and pressed the foot pedal. 3, 2, 1, blast off! The sewing machine launched her into another universe, where fabric could be tucked and tapered. The whir of the machine fueled her imagination with ideas. With hard work, any design was possible. As an adult, Ellie got a job sewing clothing for women and babies. Ellie worked quickly and carefully. Her seams were straight and her stitching was neat. An engineer noticed and asked her a question. How would you like to sew spacesuits instead? Ellie couldn't believe her ears. Yes, I would love to. If we win, our spacesuit will go to the moon. Ellie's workplace had entered an exciting competition at the last minute, but it wasn't going to be easy. Fact. Ellie worked for a company called ILC Dover. Their division, Playtex, made bras and cloth diapers. Fact. It wasn't unusual for the undergarment industry to try new things. In World War I, they designed flight suits for pilots. Big teams of military designers and engineers were also competing. Ellie's team was small, and they only had 6 weeks. Many believed that seamstresses could never win, but Ellie ignored them and set to work. Thankfully, Ellie had help. She worked with Lenny and his team of engineers. Some engineers were so impressed with the women's sewing that they asked if the seamstresses could teach them how to sew. The seamstresses also shared ideas about how to best make the suit. Ellie looked up old spacesuits. They're hard like armor. Can we make something softer and more comfortable? The answer was yes. The plan was to make a spacesuit with many soft layers. Spacesuits must protect astronauts from heat and be flexible so they can walk on the moon. No one has made a spacesuit like this before. Pressure helmet, oxygen outlet, gloves. The spacesuit will have lots of thin layers like an onion. Nylon layer, glove layers. Let's get to work. The seamstresses worked from dawn until dusk. The stitching was slow, and if they made a mistake, the whole suit was thrown out. As the suits got bulkier, the seamstresses complained. Fact: the suits got so bulky that the seamstresses had trouble feeding them through their sewing machines. Fact: the seamstresses had to sew within 1/64th of an inch, that is the width of a pin. Two gigantic sewing machines appeared. The ladies named them Sweet Sue and Big Mo. Ellie stitched late into the night with Lenny helping by her side. As the competition drew near, the women were exhausted. But everyone pulled together. The women sewed and glued layer after layer until they had 21 layers. Finally, the A7L spacesuit was created. The suits were tested and rushed off to Texas for judging when, fact, the seamstresses were so proud of the spacesuit that some of them signed their names on the inside. The judges noticed a broken zipper. Ellie and her team were given 12 hours to fix it and return it to the judges. The suit made it just in time, with help from an airplane. After many tests, the results were in. The first competitor's suit failed because the helmet blew off. Fact: the spacesuits were tested in special areas that had reduced gravity, just like the moon. The second competitor's suit failed because it was too wide to fit in the space capsule. Lastly, the A7L spacesuit was named the winner. Comfortable, heat-resistant, light enough to walk on the moon. On July 20, 1969, when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the moon, Ellie and her team were nervous. But when she saw them pick up moon rocks and return to the capsule safely, Ellie knew the suits were perfect. Ellie's heart swelled with pride. The universe seemed smaller that night. The Earth and the moon felt woven together by an invisible thread. Stitch by stitch, layer by layer, the A7L spacesuit had changed the world forever. Glossary: Apollo 11, the name of the spaceflight that landed on the moon. This was manned by Neil Armstrong, Edwin Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. Astronaut, cosmonaut. A person who goes into space. A cosmonaut is the name for an astronaut of the Soviet or Russian space program. Engineer, someone who designs and makes things. Latex. Latex makes clothing soft and fitted. ILC Dover Playtex. This is the company that made the A7L. They are based in Delaware, USA. Ellie worked for Playtex, which was best known for making undergarments, bras, diaper covers, and girdles. Seamstress, a woman who sews for her job. Today, women or men who sew for their jobs can be called sewer or garment maker. My team and our spacesuit.